Hey, it's Marcin here, and today we're diving into the world of second shooting. In this video, you'll learn 3 key things. First, how second shooting helps you build your portfolio without the full pressure of being the lead photographer. Second, how you can gain real-world experience and confidence on the job. And third, how we can open doors for future gigs and relationships in the industry. And if you want to just follow along, there's a PDF in the description that outlines all the steps to make the most out of second shooting. Let's get started. And I'm just going to show you the intro slide here. Second shooting, the ultimate learning experience. Overcome the fear of reaching out. Experienced photographers need reliable help. Guys, you need to understand this. For those of you guys that are sort of like, you want to go pro, you want to go out there and shoot, but you're not sure. There's a lot of ifs. You're procrastinating a lot, which is basically fear, and looking for an opportunity to work with somebody. The mistake that I think I've made originally, by the way, let me just finish this one. So 1 yes can unlock massive learning opportunities. That statement is true. Because if you get yourself to second shoot for somebody, it's just it becomes so much easier, right? Because we're going to talk about the benefits here on the next slides, but it's just something that if you have not thought of it before, please consider it as one of the options. A lot of people are intimidated by it. Not sure why. I think I know why. Because I was kind of in the same bucket, to be honest with you. This is really what we're talking about, overcoming the rejection fear. I have to tell you, originally when I was thinking about like second shooting with somebody or like just working with a photographer on the day when they're performing their job, I thought I would have to have some sort of special qualifications, or like, I thought there's some special pixie dust that somebody needs to sprinkle all over you to be able to like approach a photographer, a serious photographer, right? You're just a beginner, so like, who are you really? But the thing is, the real photographers, believe it or not, I did photography for 17 years. Every single time somebody reached out, it would be a different arrangement depending on their skills. It would be like, hey, come and just help out. There's always something going on. If they were super advanced with their own equipment, it would be a different arrangement. It would be like a paid gig. So like the scale is very wide. If you're inexperienced, don't expect to be shooting major things when you go and assist them. So that's one side of the spectrum. And the other side of the spectrum, if you're experienced, they pay you, you show up, they tell you, hey, go and do certain section or segment of the event. And that's what you do. And then you just get paid for it. You turn in your images in the end, and that's what it is. So you could fall on this spectrum somewhere, on one side, the other side, or somewhere in the middle, depending on how much you know or how much you're willing to do. Because it's really like an open conversation. You approach a photographer and you say, hey, listen, here's where my skills are. What can I help you with? This is what I'm willing to do. Like, I'm going to help with anything, really. But like, that's where I am. They know exactly, they can judge you where you are, and they can assign you to roles where, so you don't have to worry about doing something that you're not capable of doing. So, the first slide here is overcoming rejection and fear. You're not alone. Fear is normal, but the pros welcome assistance all the time. In 17 years, I've been doing this. The first 3 is kind of where I was on my own, or having a friend help. And then Joanna was involved. Joanna is my wife because we did 98% of weddings together. But we would have not second, but like third shooters or assistants, or people that were willing to learn, people that were starting their own businesses, wanted to see what it's about. So we were always welcome help, especially free help, or so it's like, it's a win and win. You learn, you get all this stuff, you get to see everything, you get to experience everything. But then we get another person that can carry equipment, get a family member when somebody's missing. So it's really kind of all over the place. Support role, not responsible for key moments, just backup. And like I said, this is that spectrum. So you don't have to worry about like capturing major events. If you're shooting a wedding, like nobody's going to expect you to make sure that you capture the first kiss or something, you know, important, or like the first dance. Obviously, the first shooter is always there, the primary photographer, and you may be asked to like, hey, take some pictures of cake or just candid shots of guests or whatever. So it's really kind of cool to be in that support role. And numbers game in terms of like reaching out to a photographer. Just be realistic. Like a lot of people think that when they reach out to like the first photographer, immediately they're going to be invited. Like you're going to be looking up in your local area. Before I was in Connecticut, now I'm in Florida. But if I was to do it from scratch in Florida, I would just look up photographers in Florida. There's plenty of them. But like I would reach out probably 10 or 20 realistically, and just sort of come up with a quick spiel, quick message, just an email message, and just introduce myself and say, hey, here's what I'm willing to do. Like, are you open to, you know, to working with me? And if you have a portfolio, you can send them to a little portfolio online. If you have one, maybe on Facebook, you have a gallery or something. And if you don't, that's also fine. As long as you're honest and transparent, everybody will appreciate that. Because what's the worst case scenario? Let's compare the scenarios. I always teach this to both of my daughters. It's like when you sit there, contemplate, trying to figure something out, running through your fantasies, and not asking anybody for help. It's like this ask will get you what you have right now, which is nothing because you're just sitting there waiting. Or if you ask, there may be somebody out there that's going to say, yeah, come on, I'll show you everything you need to know, right? So I always say, ask. Worst case, you're going to be in the same spot. But some people may actually turn around and surprise you and say, hey, come on, I'm willing to share. So that's awesome. So the numbers game, just to close that one, it's basically just making sure that you have enough photographers that you want to reach out to, whether it's 10 or 20, right? Let's set a number, and then you just reach out to them, and don't be surprised. Most of them will probably say no. Some of them probably will not respond. Like, who cares? You only care about one photographer to respond. Ideally, you want 2 photographers to respond. If you get more, great. Because the thing is, at the beginning, you're going to be learning. So it's okay to completely just start with one photographer and just go out there and just dip your toes. See what it's all about, what the game is about. And even if you have to do it for free, you're only paying with your time. Who cares? But you're learning. It's free training, right? So that's something to remember at the very beginning. So let's cover the benefits. Like why would somebody want to work with a photographer for free? So here on the slide, let me just bring the screen back. I have see how pros work. So behind the scenes access, insights that no online course can offer. It's a real world problem solving. You're there. You're on the spot. Like you see things happening. Sometimes people approaching photographer asking for things, and like just kind of watching how pros handle unexpected challenges is gold, right? Because it's like all this information you store. And imagine like you now got your first client. You can actually sit down with them during the consultation, and if they have questions, you can already address them as if you did weddings by yourself, right? So, and this is how you build an authority with your client, because they see like this guy or girl knows what he or she's talking about. And it's an automatic, like you don't have to convince anybody of what you're doing, because they automatically can tell that you know what you're talking about. So real world problem solving is great. And then equipment and techniques. See pro gear in action. A lot of times there's so much stuff online. There's so much stuff on YouTube, like you're watching and you don't really know, like, okay, but like in the real life situation, that's why in one of the trainings that I have in the group, you actually can see the gear. Like, what are you using and why are you using this? A lot of people, play this game of like, they just want to have all lenses and all cameras, but it's like, why? Can you justify the reason why you're having that lens, or how are you using those lenses, right? So it's super valuable to like see how photographers exchange gear. What do they use in different situations? What if there's low light? What do they do? What if it's a portrait? What lens do they use? So and it's from lighting to cameras to any other equipment that they may use for like backing up their images. I had a training session on that too, so to make sure that like when you come back from the event, that you actually have the images and they're not on just one card that got lost or damaged or something. So So it's super, super beneficial. Um, then another sort of set of benefits is the hearing the real client interaction, right? So you can kind of learn how pros communicate, how they manage timelines, and kind of handle pressure, right? So communication is just like, what do they say? Like when they're approached, when they're being asked for something, how do they say? How do they handle it? How do they say no? A lot of times during especially when you're shooting events, client is asking for things that you're not willing to do, and that's perfectly fine. It's like, how do they say no? How are they polite in saying no? So it's awesome. Also, the photographer always runs some sort of a timeline in their head, right? So you can understand the timing, not only like when something should take place, but like anything around it. Like, where's the equipment at that time? When is the photographer gonna leave one location to go to another location? Or so managing the timelines, understanding the photographer, having ability to ask a question, because that's why you're there. You can at any time just pop a question and say, hey, why are we doing this way? Why are we doing this that way? It's great. And then handling pressure. Sometimes, when you're handling larger groups, maybe you're handling like, even during like family sessions, you have a lot of kids and they're just kind of all over the place. Like, see how photographer can sort of take over and like, don't go crazy, but like manage the situation. Because a lot of photographers go out there for the first time shooting families and kids, and they're thinking, oh my God, should I like try to control those kids? Should I not? Should I leave it to parents to kind of manage the situation? And a lot of times, when the client is working with you, when a paying customer is working with you, they expect that you kind of know how to handle the situation. So like, if you don't have to kind of experiment for the first time and do it, going out with another photographer and saying, listen, I'm just going to do whatever, carry your gear, just, make sure your car is parked, or like whatever you need to do to get your head in the game. I would highly advise that you do. And then not only that, it's not only the communication, it's not only the timeline, it's not the pressure, but it's also like, but it's almost like language, right? What kind of language they use? Do they get technical? Are they polite? How loud are they? In terms of like tone. A lot of times when you're doing formals, you can be, if you're like a super shy and quiet person, you have to. That's fine if you're on your own. But when you're shooting an event, when you're doing family portraits, even when you're doing senior portraits, sometimes client is. There's a distance between camera and the client. Sometimes you have to get louder just because they can't hear what you're saying. So like, you get to see when photographers are doing that. And also, problem solving skills, right? Very kind of basic. You would imagine everybody knows, but like, hey, what happens when, we arrive at a situation at the location and the circumstances are different? Maybe something off with lighting. Maybe, somebody parked the car in a space where they shouldn't, or different things come up, right? So like, how do they do it and why do they do it, right? So if they're moving a subject from one location to another, it's like, why? Is it the lighting? Is it something in the background? Is it whatever? So you get opportunities to ask those questions. So the back to the slide here quickly, we have learn client communication, professional language, pick up confidence and phrasing. We have timeline management, how to keep events on schedule, and we have difficult situations, learn tact for problem solving. And then on to the next slide, hands-on experience. So I kind of already mentioned this a little bit, but let's go through the categories. Hands-on experience, handle gear, experience with pro equipment. You have assist setup, learn lighting and composition, also kind of mentioned that. Logistics, which is manage equipment and transitions from spot to whatever you need to do, and then be involved. Active part of the process. So handling gear. It's like, we take gear to the event or to the engagement, the shoot, the family session. It's like, do we need to bring all of it? Do we need to bring part of it? You kind of get to learn how are they sort of managing the equipment. Assist setup, learning lighting and composition. That's super, super important, because there are nuances when you're working with a client in terms of, let's say you're doing basic portrait corporate shots, right? Of a single person, controlled environment with lighting. You're seeing their previews and their images on a laptop computer, if that's the sort of setup you're running. But sometimes very subtle changes and movements in lighting can do like tremendous changes in the outcome, right? So it's very important to understand like how to handle lighting, how to handle gear, how to kind of assist with, you know, just logistics. So that's being able to assist and view and monitor, great benefit. Logistics, manage equipment and transitions. This is again not only like you're not only learning what happens when you hold the camera to your eye and shoot, but you also understand the other sort of behind the curtain events. So when the photographer is planning, when he's running the schedule, when he's planning what time to leave, what time to change, what time to, you get to understand and experience that with the photographer so that you understand it. It becomes sort of second nature. When you show up at the event, at the shoot, you already know what to do. And then be involved, active part of the process. I got to tell you, that's probably one of the biggest things on the list. Hey guys, pausing here for a quick second. If you're curious about where you stand on your photography journey in this process of building this business, we've created a quick assessment to help you identify your strengths and areas for growth. Just click on the link in the description or follow the link on the screen. Take the assessment and get your personalized insights to help you move forward. Let's go back to the video. Why? It's because you get to feel and experience what this situation feels like. It's very hard. I did it the hard way. I worked with not enough of other photographers. I've tried like 2 times and that was not enough. But I know others that are, you know, working as second shooters for 6 months, for first 12 months. By the time they get to their first consultation, they almost feel like pros because they've been there, they've done it, they know how it feels. And that helps a lot with, like, especially I tend to stress. I mean, even in, you know, my 17th year of shooting, I was still kind of like butterflies in my stomach whenever I would go on a shoot. So like you want to avoid situations when you're super stressed, right? Especially when you tend to stress a lot. So it's really nice to kind of be involved, being part of it. Like when photographers working, let's say they don't have you touch the camera, but maybe align guests. Like it's nice because you kind of in the back of your mind know it's like, those are not your clients. So the stress is automatically lower. You're still nice and polite and do whatever you need to do, but the level of stress is lower. And if you get to do it twice, 3, 4 times, imagine like when you're going to show up on the earth, it's like, I already know how this stuff works. So you can just take over and you can handle your event, which I think it's something I'm tapping into here. And this is our next slide here. And this is a low pressure learning environment, right? So this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're not responsible for like key shots, which I already mentioned that. And you kind of just observe and learn without stress or fear or failure, right? Because those are like the big 3. And the stuff that I've listed here on the slide is the safety net. Lead photographers capture essential shots. No photographer in the world would kind of, you know, with you showing up for the first time, even if you're an experienced photographer, would ever give you sort of the primary spot and like, yeah, just go ahead and do everything. I mean, with time, with this trust that you develop with a photographer, maybe if you show up, you know, to the 5th event, the 6th or the 10th or whatever, different photographers were, you know, feel differently about what they do. They will capture all the lead moments or all the important stuff. You're usually, as you're second shooting, it's the sort of, you know, B shots or whatever you're doing. Mental freedom, focus on learning without stress, creative space, experiment with new techniques, observe mastery, watch workflow and client handling. Those are all the categories here. And it's basically for the focus on learning without stress. Like I said, you don't stress. You don't stress, but you get to sort of experience this creative space. I got to tell you, when you're going, let's pretend you didn't second shoot for, you know, with anybody. Now you're showing up at your own event and you have to manage the event. You have to line up the people. You have the key shots that you know you need to capture. You don't really have a lot of creative space until you get really, really, really comfortable to experiment with angles and different shots and different camera settings. And even if something fails, like if you're a second shooter, don't care, just readjust the camera, take another shot. Great. When you're the lead photographer and you have to now do all the primary stuff, and then you want to experiment, like, let me tell you, it takes a lot of time to get to the point where you get to, I want to say, experiment. I think that's a good word. Where you get to experiment the different angles, the different settings. Maybe you're using off-camera lighting, like, should I shoot with the lighting on the stick? Should I bounce against the back wall? Should I, it's like, you have limited amount of time, especially, like, let's say it's a first dance. How much can you experiment during the first dance if you're the primary photographer? It's tough. Like, you have to know that you have to capture the main shots. And then on top of it, once you have the main shots, you can experiment. And then anything that comes out from the experimentation goes into your next event, because it's like you experiment, something worked, like, oh my God, this looks really good. So when you're second shooting, all you can do is experiment. Nobody cares, because the main photographer captures the main stuff. And they give you the freedom to, like, yeah, just do whatever. Do wide shots, do medium shots, do close-ups. So it's really kind of cool that you get to do that. And then watch workflow and client handling. I think I've captured enough and said enough here. It's basically you're there all the time from start to beginning to understand how this stuff works. Next slide here. So outside of just kind of benefits for you in terms of learning photography and learning the workflow and learning the business, there's kind of like outside benefits, right? Because you're building relationships and you're kind of creating future opportunities. So on the slide here, I say building professional connections, future referrals, get client recommendations, industry network, meet vendors and other pros, repeat bookings, become the go-to assistant. So what do I mean by that? Is basically with future referrals, obviously the same photographer, if they like what you did, they're going to invite you again. And eventually, even if you do it for free, everybody's realistic. And if not, you can always ask. Just be realistic, and you can kind of create an income potential just from that, right? Little at the beginning, and you'll grow as you go along. So, and getting client recommendations. What happens very often is when you work with a photographer and you reach your level of confidence, let's say you did 3, let's say you did 5 events together. Photographers very often get requests from clients they choose not to work with for whatever reason, whether it's money, smaller wedding or smaller event, or maybe they don't vibe with the client. That's, that can happen also. Who are they going to go to when it comes to referral? Like, somebody comes, they say no. What's the next step? They have to refer that client to somebody else. They usually do. They try to be nice, right? So knowing that they have worked with you, knowing you, liking you, because you guys work together, first person they're going to reach out to is, or tell the person about the client about, is you. So it creates client recommendations and future referrals because they send those clients to you, which is a big win, because not only you're now getting maybe your clients on the side, you're also getting referrals. On top of it, the industry network, which you meet vendors. You show up to an event, you meet everybody, right? In the example of a wedding, you get to meet the DJ, the florist, the dining crew, you name it, right? The videographer, all of the coordinators, all of these vendors are always looking for recommendations as well. We're going to actually dedicate an episode to how to manage those relationships, because a lot of times we just think it's like, oh, I give them a card or they have to tell their clients. But there's actually a way of doing some integrated marketing where you can embed your information in their emails, in stuff that they share with their clients. So a separate episode on this, but it's a huge opportunity because every single event, like, vendors repeat, yes, but also not from one event to another. so you get to create this exposure. You get to get your name out there, right? And when client is then meeting with let's say a DJ and your name comes across, like, they can validate, and it's so much faster to get the client from just hearing about you to getting them booked. And then repeat bookings become the go-to assistant. So you don't, even if you decided that it's too much for you, but you're helping a photographer. Maybe you like the second shooting. Maybe you don't like ever handling the higher pressure. You just want to kind of stay where you are. You feel comfortable. when you show up with your equipment, eventually you get to the point where either the photographer gives you the equipment or you bring your own equipment. Obviously, the pay grade changes, right? So maybe you're comfortable, making not handling everything. Maybe you're fine charging $500 for just showing up to an event and helping a photographer. I mean, that's a good, chunk of money for somebody that doesn't want to deal with this whole logistics and organization dealing with client. And you simply show up, you charge $500 and you go home. So that's a nice, you don't have to deal with the client after, you don't have to post, edit, nothing. So repeat bookings become the go-to assistant. What happens is when you're second shooting, very often you come back to the same photographer and then you make an arrangement with them. Not only that, that photographer shares information, your name with other photographers. And what happens is eventually you become the second photographer person for not just one photographer, but many photographers, 2, 3. So like imagine income opportunities just from second shooting is huge. If you're interested, you can probably look up on your if you're on Facebook, probably the best way. Look for like groups for second shooters in your area, in your state, let's say, second shooting in Florida, second shooting in Connecticut, depending on where you are, you get the point. But you can become part of those communities. And if you have a little bit of experience, you did it once, twice, 3 times, you can actually post your information out there and say, hey, a lot of times photographers, other assistants fall through. Last minute, they're looking for somebody. Hey, maybe there's a weekend you're not doing anything, you're free, and there's an opportunity to second shoot. Hey, there's another $400, $500, $300 or whatever you're charging at that time, right? So it's not only that one photographer, but then it just becomes and it grows sort of organically, so you can utilize that skill. And then the last slide here is the kind of your next steps. So I already went through the steps, but let's just highlight it so you kind of know exactly how to approach this, right? So research local pros, look online, look for local photographers, create a list of like 10 to 20 photographers, and whose work you like, and craft your pitch. Just a quick message. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can use ChatGPT or whatever to help you with that part. And just express first say something about their work. Say that you like their work, that it's sort of the style that you're after, and then just express your eagerness to learn and to help. Like, it's that simple. And then remember to do follow-up. A lot of times photographers are busy. It's just, we're all people, right? Life happens every day. And sometimes people forget to respond. So don't immediately take it as a failure. You can actually follow up. 70% of sales come from the follow-ups, and same philosophy applies here. So if you send a message, you can follow up with your portfolio. If you don't have a portfolio, just send another message. Try at least 2-3 times with the same photographers, because you're going to be shocked. Like sometimes, people go on vacation, people forget, people are busy. They obviously won't prioritize something, but when you follow up, you catch them in the right moment, it may actually work. And then prepare for success, have gear ready for your first opportunity. This is only for those of you that are like already experienced and know exactly kind of what they're doing. They want to charge at that level that I mentioned before. But like I said, if you don't, you can just reach out and ask and just kind of spill it out, say it how it is, and then let them make the decision. So don't make that kind of stop you in your tracks. So I think in terms of action step, this will be it. Like I said, you can gain real sort of event images to build your credibility. That's another thing that I wanted to mention before we sort of finish for today. But remember, some photographers are okay. Most are not with sharing images from their events. Some are okay with the idea of doing that, especially if it's not like main images from the event, right? So even the stuff, the B-rolls and maybe some candid shots, you can use that boosts your credibility with your potential clients. And then as you work with that, obviously your portfolio grows. So it's kind of nice because other clients coming in can see that you have experience, not just one event. Because a lot of times people go out, shoot one event, and it's like, yeah, I have one wedding. Here, even if you're not using many main images, you know, if client asks for like floral arrangements or like who's the good DJ, you're gonna have a picture of like one DJ, another. It's like, oh my god, like they are part of this industry, and you automatically become a go-to person. And then again, I can't stress it enough. You will understand and know exactly how to manage your time, how to manage your transitions, and how to stay organized with all the gear and the things you have to say and how to manage. So it's very, very important. And understanding the flow is really, really critical and kind of hard to learn alone, because if you don't see it, if you don't have another person kind of showing you the ropes, what's the next alternative? You have to do it yourself, and then you have to do it yourself again differently, right? And then a lot of times we fall into this thing of like, well, I did it once and twice this way, I guess that's the way it's gonna work, and that is partially true, but you get to see different styles, different ways of approaching the same situation, especially if you're working with 2 photographers or 3, right? That would be ideal. So when you go to those forums and like you're sharing your name, it's great to be able to work not just with one person, but 3, and just kind of see what works for you in those 3 different unique styles and approaches and the way they communicate. So just something to remember. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love sharing this information with you for free. And the best way you can support me is by subscribing to the channel, obviously, or liking the video or leaving a comment below. Your support means the world to me. And if you have enjoyed the content, make sure to check out the next video suggested on the screen. See you there.